Can you imagine that fungi are closer to animals than plants? Believe it or not, fungi share a common ancestor with animals, dating back more than 1 billion years. Unlike plants, fungi are heterotrophs, which means they can't produce their own food through photosynthesis. Instead, they absorb nutrients from organic matter, just like animals. This makes fungi a unique form of life, existing somewhere between the plant and animal kingdoms. Fungi are nature's recyclers, breaking down dead matter and returning nutrients to the ecosystem. Sleeping with one eye open, how dolphins and birds stay vigilant. Some animals, like dolphins and many birds, have the incredible ability to sleep with one eye open. This phenomenon is called unihemispheric sleep, where one half of the brain sleeps while the other stays awake to monitor the environment. This helps animals stay alert and avoid dangers like predators. For example, dolphins can sleep while staying on the water's surface and continue to breathe. Birds can rest in mid-flight or perched on a branch while remaining vigilant. This remarkable adaptation is an example of how nature has developed incredible survival mechanisms in the most challenging conditions. Why is a group of owls called a parliament? Owls are often associated with wisdom, and perhaps that's why their collective noun is a parliament. This term is linked to ancient Greek and Roman myths where owls symbolized knowledge and magic. The term gained popularity in English literature thanks to Chaucer's writings. Owls often gather as if they're deliberating, which resembles parliamentary meetings. These remarkable birds have keen vision and hearing, allowing them to hunt in the dark. So next time you see a group of owls, imagine them discussing the forest's most pressing matters at their owl assembly. Welcome to a town with a population of 1. Imagine an entire town with only 1 resident. Monowi, a small town in Nebraska, USA, has a population of just 1 person, Elsie Eiler. She wears many hats: mayor, librarian, and bar owner. This tiny town with a population of 1 is a unique place in the US. Elsie runs everything on her own, collects taxes from herself, and serves the few tourists who pass by. Monowi is a living example of a one-woman show, drawing attention because of its uniqueness and Elsie's story. Is it possible? The moon is gradually drifting away from Earth. The moon is slowly but surely moving away from Earth at a rate of 3.8 centimeters per year. This process is caused by tidal forces between Earth and the moon, which slow Earth's rotation and gradually widen the moon's orbit. This cosmic waltz has been going on for billions of years. Interestingly, in the distant future, the moon may become so far away that it will no longer appear as bright from Earth as it does now. Can you imagine that in Colorado there's a town where it's illegal to die? In the town of Nederland, Colorado, there's a strange and even absurd law. You can't die in the town. This law stems from a local history involving attempts to preserve a man's body in a frozen state. Now the town has declared itself a territory for immortals, and locals jokingly claim that they're simply not allowed to die. Of course, the law isn't enforceable, but many people visit Nederland to laugh at this odd tradition and learn about the story of the frozen, eternal resident. It's amazing, but the platypus is one of the strangest creatures on Earth. This incredible Australian animal, which looks like a mix of different creatures, has baffled scientists for centuries. The platypus lays eggs, produces milk for its young, and has venomous spurs on its hind legs. This combination of traits makes it one of the most unique mammals on the planet. Despite its odd characteristics, the platypus has lived on Earth for millions of years and remains a symbol of nature's mysteries and evolution. Can you imagine a snowflake the size of a plate? In 1887, the largest snowflake ever recorded fell in Montana. It was 15 inches wide and 8 inches thick. That's the size of a dinner plate. Imagine being under such a snowstorm. This amazing event went down in meteorological history as the most unusual snow phenomenon. So next time you complain about the snow, think, it could have been much bigger and more impressive. Hard to believe, but it takes 8 minutes for sunlight to reach Earth. The sunlight we see every day actually began its journey from the sun 8 minutes ago. This is because the speed of light is about 300,000 kilometers per second, and the distance from the sun to Earth is approximately 150 million kilometers. So every time you look at the sun, you're seeing its past. This fascinating time delay is one of the most interesting phenomena of cosmic physics. Imagine for a moment that Las Vegas came about purely by chance. In 1829, a caravan traveling from Texas to California lost its way. The desperately thirsty people were fortunate to find a source of fresh water, and they named the place Las Vegas, which in Spanish means fertile meadows. This chance encounter laid the foundation for the city that would eventually become the casino capital and global entertainment hub. Did you know that frogs can retract their eyes to swallow food? Some species of frogs have an incredible ability to help them swallow their prey. They retract their eyes into their heads. When a frog catches an insect or small prey, its eyes sink deep into its skull, creating pressure that pushes the food down its throat. It's a strange yet fascinating spectacle in the world of amphibians. Frogs have evolved amazing adaptations that allow them to survive in various environments, and this is just one of the many unique features of their anatomy. Did you know that penguins swallow stones? These tuxedo-wearing wonders not only excel at swimming but also have an unusual habit of swallowing small stones. Penguins ingest pebbles to help them digest food more efficiently, using the stones to grind up food in their stomachs, much like birds use gravel. In addition, these stones provide extra weight, allowing penguins to dive deeper in search of fish. This clever adaptation turns penguins into expert divers and makes them even more fascinating. Hard to believe, but there's a flying snake in Africa. In Africa, there's a snake known as the tree glider that can move from branch to branch, almost as if it's flying. It flattens its body and uses it as a parachute, covering distances of up to 20 meters in the air. These snakes use their flight abilities to escape predators and quickly move between trees. They look like creatures from a sci-fi movie, but this is the reality of the wild where anything is possible. Did you know there are eternal lightning storms on Earth? In Venezuela, there is a place called Catatumbo, where lightning strikes almost constantly. This unique natural phenomenon occurs at Lake Maracaibo, where lightning can be observed on up to 250 days each year. Known as the Catatumbo lightning storm, lightning can flash up to 280 times an hour. Scientists believe this is due to the region's unique topography, which creates perfect conditions for constant discharges. This location has become a major attraction for tourists and scientists from around the world. How about the longest word with just one vowel? Did you know that the word strengths is the longest word in the English language with only one vowel? It's fascinating, as this word is not only powerful in meaning, but also unique in its structure. It proves that even the simplest words can be incredibly complex when looked at from a different perspective. Next time you use this word, pay attention to its uniqueness. It's a small linguistic puzzle. What if I told you that there's a desert in Chile where it snows? The Atacama Desert is one of the driest places on Earth, but sometimes it snows. This rare natural phenomenon happens due to sudden climate changes and brings precipitation to regions that have not seen rain for years. Snow falling on the red sands of the desert creates an incredible contrast, making this place even more mysterious and astonishing. Tourists from around the world come to witness this unique natural wonder. Tardigrades, survival masters of extreme conditions. These microscopic creatures, also known as water bears, can survive in places where other organisms would perish. Tardigrades can endure freezing temperatures as low as -270 degrees Celsius, boiling heat, radiation, and even the vacuum of space. In extreme conditions, they enter a state called cryptobiosis, where their metabolism nearly stops, turning them into something like a time capsule. In this state, they can survive without water or food for decades. These fascinating creatures inspire scientists to explore new frontiers, and one day, they might even help humans conquer other planets. Can you believe that 3% of Antarctica's ice is penguin urine? It may sound strange, but it's true. Scientists have determined that about 3% of Antarctic ice is made up of penguin urine. In the extreme cold of Antarctica, urine doesn't evaporate as it would in warmer climates. Instead, it remains on the surface and eventually freezes, becoming part of the ice. This unusual fact shows just how unique this continent is and how its natural conditions create truly unexpected phenomena. Did you know the Nile is the longest river in the world? The Nile River, which stretches approximately 6,650 kilometers, passes through 11 countries in northeastern Africa. These countries, Burundi, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda, depend on the Nile for their economies, cultures, and ecosystems. The Nile is not only a lifeline for millions of people, but also a witness to ancient history spanning millennia. Wow! It turns out that laws in the US can be quite strange. For example, in Arizona, it is illegal to place a donkey in a bathtub, and violating this law can result in a fine. In Alabama, there is a unique law prohibiting carrying ice cream in your pocket. These absurd yet real laws reflect not only eccentricity, but also the uniqueness of each state's culture. Laws that may seem puzzling to residents of other regions result from local traditions and historical development, making each state uniquely distinctive. Hell freezes over. Every year. Believe it or not, there's a town in Norway called Hell, and it literally freezes over every winter. This is not a joke. It's a real place on the map. And although the town is quite small, it attracts tourists every year thanks to its unusual name. Due to Norway's cold climate, Hell is covered in ice and snow every winter, often sparking jokes. "When hell freezes over" is a phrase that is rather common for the residents of this town. So if you want to see hell for yourself, head to Norway in the winter and watch it freeze over. Did you know that an atomic bomb almost destroyed North Carolina? In 1961, the U.S. Air Force accidentally dropped 2 atomic bombs over North Carolina. One of them went through 5 stages of activation, and only the last step didn't trigger, saving the state from a nuclear catastrophe. Both incidents happened due to issues with the aircraft. This tragedy, which could have changed history, shows just how close we sometimes come to global disaster. Believe it or not, the world's deepest lake holds 20% of all the fresh water on Earth. Lake Baikal, located in Siberia, is not only the deepest lake in the world, but also contains 20% of the world's freshwater reserves. Its depth reaches over 1.5 kilometers, and its volume of water is so vast that it could supply fresh water to the entire planet for several years. This incredible lake is also home to unique species of animals and plants that can't be found anywhere else in the world. Lake Baikal is truly a natural treasure. Did you know that scorpions can glow in the dark? When exposed to ultraviolet light, scorpions begin to glow bright blue-green. This happens due to a substance in their exoskeleton that reacts to ultraviolet light. Scientists are still debating why scorpions have this ability. It might help them hide from predators or serve as a signal to other scorpions. Whatever the reason, it's one of nature's most astonishing phenomena. How did jellyfish learn the secret of immortality? In the deep ocean lives the jellyfish Turritopsis dohrnii, known as the immortal jellyfish. Unlike other creatures, this jellyfish can revert to its juvenile state, effectively rewinding time. If it ages or suffers injury, it simply regenerates, starting its life cycle over. This process is called transdifferentiation. Scientists believe that the jellyfish's genetic mechanisms may one day help humans extend their lives. Studying the immortal jellyfish not only captivates us, but also opens the door to discovering the secrets of eternal youth. The Royal Game of Ur is the oldest board game, over 4,000 years old. This ancient game was discovered during excavations in Mesopotamia and dates back to around 2600 BCE. Played by 2 players on a 20-square board, the game involved strategic moves with pieces that maneuvered around obstacles. It had a major influence on the development of future board games, demonstrating the strategic thinking of ancient civilizations. Just imagine how deep-rooted our love for games really is. Did you know there's a basketball court on top of the U.S. Supreme Court building? Yes, you heard that right. At the very top of the U.S. Supreme Court building, there's a basketball court known as the highest court in the land. It's a place where judges and court staff can relax and play basketball between hearings. Imagine, after making important decisions, the justices can shed their robes and shoot some hoops, trading legal arguments for basketball shots. It's a truly unique combination of law and sport. Have you ever thought about the fact that you can see a double rainbow on Mars? Surprisingly, it's true. On Mars, you can sometimes witness not just one, but a double rainbow. However, these aren't the rainbows we're used to seeing on Earth. The Martian atmosphere is so thin that ordinary raindrops don't form, but rainbows can appear due to fine dust and ice crystals floating in the air. Even though there's no rain on Mars, these dusty rainbows look particularly mesmerizing. But if you want to see one, you'll have to wait. Martian weather phenomena happen very rarely. Did you know that there's a stone forest on Earth? In China's Yunnan province, you'll find one of the most unique natural phenomena, the shilin, or stone forest. This astonishing forest isn't made of trees but of towering limestone pillars that rise towards the sky like jagged spikes of rock. The age of this extraordinary forest is over 270 million years. Erosion from rain and wind has sculpted the rocks into such bizarre shapes. For centuries, people have attributed mystical powers to this place, and local legends claim that spirits of nature inhabit Shilin. It's so majestic and mysterious, it almost looks like a set from a fantasy movie. Hard to believe, but some bacteria can survive in space. Scientists have discovered that some types of bacteria can survive in outer space. In 2020, Japanese researchers conducted an experiment on the International Space Station, where bacteria from the Deinococcus genus were exposed to the outside of the station for 3 years. These tiny organisms endured extreme conditions in space, such as radiation, vacuum, and temperature fluctuations. All of this is possible thanks to their unique cellular defense mechanisms that repair DNA damage. Can you imagine such small organisms surviving conditions that would be fatal to humans? This discovery opens up new possibilities for life beyond Earth. How much do you think the world's most expensive pizza costs? In 2007, Scottish chef Domenico Crolla created the Royal 007 pizza, priced at a staggering $4,200. This gourmet pizza was topped with luxurious ingredients like edible gold flakes, caviar, smoked salmon, and venison marinated in champagne. It was auctioned off for charity, making it a culinary masterpiece worth its weight in gold. Now that's a slice of royal extravagance. Owls don't just see, they mesmerize. Owls don't have typical eyeballs. Instead, they have specialized tubular eyes. This unique adaptation allows them to keep their eyes fixed, giving them exceptional binocular vision and the ability to rotate their heads almost 270 degrees. Thanks to this, owls become masters of nighttime hunting, detecting even the slightest movements in complete darkness. Their eyes are more than just organs of sight. They are powerful tools that make them incredible hunters. And every time they turn their heads, it's like witnessing nature's magic in action. Vatican City, the smallest country in the world. Vatican City is an independent city-state located within Rome, Italy, and it covers an area of just about 0.49 square kilometers, making it the smallest country in the world. Despite its modest size, the Vatican is a significant center of the Catholic Church and home to many renowned historical sites like St. Peter's Basilica and the Sistine Chapel. Its population is around 800 people, making it not only the smallest by area but also one of the least populated states in the world. Contrary to everything, dark matter is actually invisible. Dark matter doesn't interact with light, so it cannot be seen directly. However, scientists know about its existence through indirect signs. It affects the rotation speed of galaxies and bends light around them. This mysterious substance makes up more than 80% of the universe's mass, but it remains one of the biggest mysteries of modern space science. One spaghetti noodle is called spaghetto. Spaghetti is one of the world's most popular dishes, but did you know that if you have just one noodle, it's called a spaghetto? This quirky grammar twist adds a touch of loneliness to an otherwise delicious meal. So if you ever find yourself dining alone on a single strand of spaghetti, don't feel bad. You're just following proper Italian grammar rules. Italian grammar makes food not only delicious, but also a little more poetic. Where do you think the largest Chinatowns in the world are located? They are, of course, San Francisco and Manhattan in New York City. These areas have become centers of life and culture for Chinese immigrants, featuring numerous restaurants, shops, and cultural events. New York is also known for Brighton Beach, a compact neighborhood primarily inhabited by immigrants from the former USSR. This is one of the most vibrant and culturally rich communities in the U.S., home to around 80,000 people, creating a unique atmosphere for new generations and tourists. Did you know that some mushrooms can glow in the dark? Certain types of mushrooms have a magical ability to glow in the dark, creating a mystical forest scene. This phenomenon is called bioluminescence. When walking through the woods at night, some mushrooms emit a soft, mysterious glow, turning the forest floor into a fairy tale. This glow attracts insects, helping the mushrooms spread their spores, making them not only beautiful but functional. Bioluminescent mushrooms are yet another example of nature's wonders. Did you know that what is called informing in Belarus, Russia, and throughout Europe is considered a manifestation of vigilance in the United States? Americans are accustomed to acting quickly and calling the police if they notice something suspicious in their neighbors or local area. In a country where safety and order are highly valued, residents see it as their duty to monitor their surroundings and help maintain public order, sometimes even without being asked. This illustrates the dominant culture of vigilance in the U.S., where it is viewed not as interference but as a responsibility of every citizen. Did you know that the Panama Canal served not only commercial but also military purposes for the United States? Why did the U.S. need to build the Panama Canal in the early 20th century? The answer is simple. It was key to their strategic dominance over two oceans. Although Panama was part of Colombia, it provided the ideal location for constructing a canal that could connect the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. The U.S. resolved this issue by supporting Panama's independence, securing a significant advantage in global trade and military control. The Panama Canal became a crucial element of American foreign policy and national security, enabling rapid deployment of troops and goods between the two oceans. Did you know that the oldest tattoo is over 5,000 years old? In 1991, archaeologists discovered a mummy known as Otzi in the Alps. Otzi is around 5,300 years old, and on his body they found 61 tattoos, mostly lines and crosses. These tattoos may have been used to relieve pain, as they are located near acupuncture points. It's fascinating to think that ancient civilizations used tattoos not just for decoration, but also for healing purposes. Did you know that the income gap in the U.S. is enormous? In the U.S., there is a significant income gap between the richest and the rest of the population. The wealth of the top 1% of Americans is equivalent to that of the bottom 90%. This economic divide continues to grow, leading to social tension and an increase in protests over inequality. More and more Americans are concerned about how the wealthy keep accumulating riches while the rest of the population faces economic hardships. How would you react if you learned that London is a city with a history spanning nearly 2,000 years? Founded by the Romans in 43 AD, it was originally called Londinium. Over time, its name changed, and it became a hub of global culture and economy. London was the first city to have an underground railway, and even the first to open a hot chocolate shop. Today, nearly 9 million people live in London, speaking over 300 languages. Hard to believe, but in Madagascar, there is a tree that walks. The baobab tree in Madagascar is known for its roots that can move several meters in search of water. While the tree itself does not move, its root system grows towards sources of moisture, crossing large patches of land. This unique ability allows baobabs to survive in drought conditions and become even more resilient. This species of plants has long intrigued biologists, who are still trying to unravel all the secrets of how these ancient giants survive. Did you know there are 1,500 types of tea? The world of tea is a universe of flavors and aromas. There are about 1,500 types of tea, ranging from familiar black and green teas to exotic blends with fruits and herbs. Millions of people around the world drink tea, and each type offers a unique experience and its own health benefits. Drinking tea is a whole ritual in which you can explore different cultures and traditions, discovering new flavors with every sip. Why has Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia become a symbol of infinity and magic? Salar de Uyuni is the largest salt flat in the world, characterized by an endless white expanse. This place has an incredible atmosphere, especially during the rainy season when water covers the surface, transforming it into a gigantic mirror-like lake. This makes Salar de Uyuni not only a spot for unique photographs, but also a symbol of infinity, wonder, and magic. Is it true that hippos sweat red? When hippos spend a lot of time in the sun, their skin starts to secrete a special red fluid that looks like blood. This sweat acts as both a sunscreen and an antiseptic, protecting them from sunburn and infection. It's often called blood sweat, though it contains no blood at all. This incredible secretion helps hippos withstand the intense African sun, spending most of their days in water and only occasionally coming out onto land. Did you know that the Kuwaiti dinar is the most valuable currency in the world? The Kuwaiti dinar, KWD, holds the title as the highest valued currency in the world. Despite Kuwait not having the largest economy, its currency's unique exchange rate gives it incredible worth. One Kuwaiti dinar is equivalent to about $3.30, making it one of the most valuable currencies globally. This means that even a small amount of Kuwaiti dinars can be worth a lot when exchanged for other currencies. Why do you think there are ice hotels in the world? In some northern countries, such as Sweden and Canada, hotels are built entirely out of ice. Every year, these buildings are reconstructed, as they melt by the end of winter. Ice hotels offer guests the opportunity to sleep on ice beds in ice rooms, surrounded by ice sculptures. However, warm sleeping bags are provided to ensure a comfortable night's stay. It's a unique way to experience the real winter. Sperm whales, the loudest creatures on Earth. Sperm whales are underwater sound machines. They produce clicks and vocalizations that can reach up to 230 decibels. That's several times louder than a jet engine. These sounds help sperm whales communicate over vast distances and navigate the ocean depths. They use them like sonar to hunt giant squid at depths of over 1,000 meters. These clicks are so powerful that they can even stun their prey from a distance. Imagine if humans had similar abilities. We could communicate across entire oceans. Do you know what the deepest lake in the world is? Lake Baikal, located in Siberia, is the deepest freshwater lake on Earth. Its depth reaches 5,315 feet, which is about 1,620 meters. This natural wonder holds a wealth of secrets, preserving ancient layers of sediments and housing unique species found nowhere else. Lake Baikal is not just a body of water. It's a living archive of the planet's history, containing traces of Earth's evolution hidden deep within its waters. Isn't it interesting that hedgehogs can swim? These little spiky creatures don't seem built for water, but they are surprisingly good swimmers. Hedgehogs can not only swim, but also hold their breath underwater. They puff up like little rafts and can cross rivers and lakes if necessary. Although they don't often need to, the ability to swim helps them survive in the wild, proving that even the smallest creatures can be great adventurers. Can you imagine that some flowers eat mice? This isn't science fiction, it's reality. There are carnivorous plants, such as the nepenthes, or pitcher plants, that can trap and digest not only insects, but also small animals like mice. These plants secrete sweet nectar to lure their prey, and once the animal falls into the pitcher, it can't escape. The plant world is far more cunning and mysterious than it seems. How many toes do you think cats have on their front paws? Cats' paws are truly unique, not just because they're cute. Most cats have 5 toes on their front paws and only 4 on their back paws. This makes their movement system particularly efficient for hunting and climbing. However, some polydactyl cats have extra toes, making them even more unique. It seems nature decided that a cat's paw shouldn't just be a survival tool, but also a perfect machine for capturing human hearts. Did you know that in France there's a house with a negative number? In the town of Rocamadour, France, you can find a house numbered -1. This building was constructed under a cliff below street level. When the other houses were numbered, the ground-level houses were already given 0 and 1. This unusual designation has now become a local landmark and a curiosity for tourists. After all, it's not every day you see a house with a negative number. Why do leaves turn red and yellow in the fall? When autumn comes, trees turn off photosynthesis. During this process, the green pigment, chlorophyll, breaks down, and other pigments, carotenoids and anthocyanins, reveal themselves in yellow and red hues. It's like nature putting on a colorful show. Interestingly, the cooler and sunnier the autumn, the brighter these colors will be. Have you ever realized that this is nature's magical performance happening right before your eyes? Did you know Mandarin is the most spoken language in the world? Mandarin Chinese is not only one of the oldest languages on the planet, but also the most spoken, with over 918 million speakers. That's about 12% of the global population. Mandarin is the official language of China, Taiwan, and one of the official languages of Singapore. Interestingly, Mandarin is a tonal language, which means that the same word can have different meanings depending on the tone used. Imagine this. The word ma can mean mother, horse, scold, or hemp, depending on how you say it. This makes Mandarin one of the most challenging yet fascinating languages to learn. Did you know a group of kangaroos is called a mob? Yes, that's true. A group of these fascinating animals is called a mob, and the name perfectly describes their social behavior. Kangaroos live in large groups, moving and foraging together. Their social structure is well coordinated, with each mob acting as a unit. This makes them unique not only biologically but also behaviorally. Now, when you see a group of kangaroos, you can call them a mob and impress your friends with this fun fact. Ancient Roman firefighters and their unusual tactics. In ancient Rome, firefighting wasn't just about saving lives, it was a business. When a fire broke out, firefighters would rush to the scene, but they would only put out the flames if the property owner agreed on a price. This strange combination of urgency and negotiation shows just how different firefighting was back then compared to today. Back in those days, saving a building from flames required both money and quick decisions. How does a giant rubber duck travel around the world gathering crowds of spectators? A massive inflatable duck, created by Dutch artist Florentine Hofman, has become an international sensation. Standing over 15 meters tall, it has already floated through rivers and lakes in cities like London, Tokyo, and Sydney, sparking joy among children and adults alike. The duck symbolizes childhood and joy, and everywhere it goes, it's greeted like a celebrity. Some fans even follow it around the world just to see it in a new location. Is it possible? There's blue fire on volcanoes. On the island of Java, Indonesia, stands the Ijen volcano, famous for its unique natural phenomenon, blue fire. This extraordinary sight is caused by the high concentration of sulfur in volcanic gases, which ignites upon contact with the air, producing a bright blue flame. This blue fire can only be seen at night, creating a breathtaking and almost mystical display. Tourists from all over the world travel here to witness this rare phenomenon that cannot be seen anywhere else. How do you think the famous alien footstep sound was made? One of the most memorable sounds in film is the footsteps of the alien from the iconic movie E.T., but how was it created? The answer will surprise you. This unique sound was made using regular jelly. Sound designers simply squished their hands in jelly to imitate the sticky footsteps of the alien. This fact showcases the brilliance and creativity of sound engineers who turn everyday items into amazing sound effects. Now, the next time you watch the movie, you won't be able to hear the alien's footsteps without a smile, knowing their jelly origin. The United States is the birthplace of skyscrapers. The first skyscraper was built in Chicago in 1885 and held the record until 1931. The tallest building in the U.S., Freedom Tower in New York, which stands on the site of the destroyed Twin Towers, is currently the 7th tallest building in the world. These architectural marvels symbolize not only strength and technology, but also the resilience of the nation following the 9/11 tragedy. Skyscrapers in the U.S. embody the country's ambitions and its capability to construct unique, magnificent structures that continue to astonish the world. The first computer mouse was made of wood. In 1964, Douglas Engelbart invented the first computer mouse, and it was made of wood. This device, with 2 metal wheels, revolutionized how humans interact with computers. Today, modern mice are much more advanced, but that wooden mouse remains a landmark in computer history. Why is Mauna Kea volcano 10 times taller than Everest? Mauna Kea on Hawaii is not just a volcano, but a towering structure that extends deep below the ocean's surface. Its above-water section is over 4,000 meters tall, but its underwater slopes stretch even further. Taking the full height of Mauna Kea from base to summit, it measures over 10,000 meters, making it far taller than Everest. Though its peak is hidden underwater, Mauna Kea is one of the tallest mountains on Earth. What's a puggle? A baby echidna. Small, round, and unbelievably cute, puggles are baby echidnas. These unique animals are one of the few egg-laying mammals, and their tiny babies hatch from eggs the size of jelly beans. After hatching, a puggle hides in its mother's pouch and feeds on her milk until it's strong enough to leave its cozy shelter. Unlike most other mammals, echidnas retain features that remind us of their ancient ancestors that lived millions of years ago. Each puggle is a little wonder of evolution. Did you know that ancient Egyptians created the first calendar? Ancient Egyptians were among the first to develop a calendar based on the cycles of the sun. They divided the year into 3 seasons, each consisting of 4 months. This calendar was created to accurately predict the flooding of the Nile, which was crucial for their agricultural activities. This calendar is still considered one of the greatest scientific achievements of the ancient world, helping people manage time and natural resources. Is it really possible that Lend-Lease played such an important role in America's growth? The Lend-Lease program, which supplied weapons and food from the U.S. to allies during World War II, was a key element in the country's economic rise. However, few know that, in addition to supporting the Soviet Union and the United Kingdom, the program also included reverse Lend-Lease, whereby allies transferred their naval bases in the Western Hemisphere to the U.S. This granted the U.S. control over the North Atlantic and established it as a naval leader. After the war, with increased industrial production and control over strategic regions, the U.S. emerged as the world's primary economic and military power. Coca-Cola and its secret ingredients. The name Coca-Cola comes from 2 of its original ingredients, coca leaves and cola nuts, which were used to give the drink its distinctive taste and effects. The coca leaves provided a mild stimulant, while the cola nuts added caffeine. Today, the exact formula of Coca-Cola remains a closely guarded secret. Despite changes to the recipe, the story behind its creation and the brand's mystique continue to fascinate people around the world. It's hard to believe, but giraffes and humans have the same number of neck vertebrae. Despite the fact that a giraffe's neck is much longer, both giraffes and humans have the same number of neck vertebrae, 7. These bones provide support for the head and allow neck mobility. In giraffes, they are simply much longer than in humans. This fascinating fact highlights the amazing diversity of evolution and nature, despite the external differences between species. Why do you think shells were used as money? In addition to shells, other items such as metal spearheads, animal skins, special stones, pieces of metal, grains, salt, and various goods also served as currency. These items acted as means of exchange in different cultures and societies. In the modern world, certain goods still function as currency under specific conditions. For example, in prisons, cigarettes are used as barter items, and in conflict zones, ammunition may even serve this purpose in some cases. Imagine for a moment that Alaska was once part of Russia. Today, Alaska, one of the harshest and most remote states in the U.S., was formerly a part of the Russian Empire. It was sold to the United States in 1867 for a record-breaking $7.2 million. Alaska is not only one of the northernmost states, but also has the longest coastline in the U.S., stretching over 10,000 kilometers. The region has a challenging climate that makes it unique and markedly different from the rest of the country while remaining an important strategic and natural resource. It's hard to believe, but there's a city in Italy with no streets. Venice, Italy, is a city without traditional streets. There are only canals, and boats are the primary mode of transportation. Streets, as we know them, simply don't exist. Movement around the city is entirely water-based, making Venice unique among other cities in the world. Tourists travel by gondola or water taxi, enjoying the romantic atmosphere of this city on the water. Venice is one of those rare examples where the city has adapted to the constant presence of water. Did you know that we lose a total of 9 years of life on smartphone screens? Imagine this. According to research, the average person spends about 3 hours a day on their smartphone. Now, multiply that over an entire lifetime, let's say 72 years. It turns out that a whole 9 years of your life is spent staring at your phone screen. Can you imagine how much you could accomplish in that time? Traveling to new countries, learning multiple languages, or writing a book? There are endless possibilities. Next time you pick up your phone, remember, you have 9 years you could live differently. Did you know that Tokyo has buildings that can grow? Tokyo has a construction technology that allows buildings to increase in height even after completion. The foundation is reinforced so that additional floors can be added later. This saves space in the metropolis and adapts to changing demands. For example, the Mizushima skyscraper was built with 14 floors but later grew to 20. Can you believe that in the USA there was once a reign of spiders? In the small town of Golden, Colorado in 2015, an unusual natural phenomenon occurred, which locals called the reign of spiders. Thousands of spiders fell from the sky, filling the streets and yards. Scientists explain this by the fact that spiders use a technique called ballooning, where they take off into the sky on their webs and travel great distances using wind. This phenomenon can be observed in various parts of the world, but such a massive rain shocked the locals. How many species of animals do you think are on Earth? Our planet is a true treasure trove, home to over 8,700,000 species of animals. Even more astonishing is that over 80% of these creatures remain undiscovered. These mysterious beings, hidden from our eyes, are waiting for their moment to reveal their secrets. As we explore the animal kingdom, we uncover the wonders of nature, reminding us of the endless mystery and diversity of our planet. Did you know the world's longest beard measured over 5 meters? The world's longest beard belonged to Hans Langseth, a Norwegian who passed away in 1927. His beard measured an incredible 5.33 meters, or over 17 feet. His legendary beard was so impressive that it was showcased at fairs and exhibitions. After Hans's death, his beard was donated to the Smithsonian Institution, where it remains on display. This epic beard has become a symbol of beard greatness and is admired by many. Can it be true? Saudi Arabia imports camels from Australia? Yes, it's no mistake. Camels, once brought to Australia from the Middle East for farming and transportation, are now being exported back to Saudi Arabia. Camels have thrived in Australia's environment, and their population has grown significantly. Now they are exported back to the Middle East, where they are used for similar purposes. Surprisingly, Australia is now a global leader in camel exports. Who would have thought that these desert animals would complete such a unique historical cycle? How does Germany successfully run a crocodile farm? At the crocodile farm in Saarland Zoo, more than 100 crocodiles live comfortably even in Germany's harsh climate. This zoo is equipped with water heating systems that create ideal conditions for these exotic reptiles. Despite the cold winters, the crocodiles act as if they're in the tropics. Tourists can even watch them lazily swim or feed, making this one of the region's main attractions. Did you know the ancient Inca city could withstand earthquakes? Machu Picchu, the famous Inca city, was built using an ingenious technology that allowed it to withstand earthquakes. Located in a highly seismic zone, the Incas used a technique called ashlar masonry, where stones were so precisely cut that they fit together without mortar. During an earthquake, the stones could move slightly and then return to their original positions, keeping the structures intact. This brilliant engineering made the Incas true masters of ancient architecture. How about this? In Turkey, there is an ancient underground city that could hold over 20,000 people. Derinkuyu is one of the largest and most mysterious underground cities in the world. It was built thousands of years ago in Cappadocia and consists of several levels deep underground. For centuries, the city was used as a refuge during wars and raids. It included everything needed for life: living quarters, wineries, churches, ventilation shafts, and even schools. The city was discovered accidentally in 1963, and to this day, archaeologists have not fully explored all of its secrets. Why do snails bury themselves in the ground? The snails we often see after rain don't just dig into the soil for fun. It's their way of surviving extreme conditions. When it gets too hot or dry, snails create a special mucus plug to retain moisture in their bodies and bury themselves to endure the dry periods. This process, called estivation, is a type of summer hibernation that allows snails to survive harsh seasons. Can you imagine that the total weight of all ants on Earth equals the weight of all humans? Despite their tiny size, ants are among the most numerous creatures on the planet. The total weight of all ants on Earth is equal to the weight of all humans. This astonishing fact highlights just how numerous these small workers are. Ants live in every corner of the planet, and their contribution to ecosystems is incredibly important. It's another example of how nature surprises us with its unexpected scales. Who would have thought that ants are such heavyweights in the natural world? It's hard to believe, but sea stars can evert their stomachs. Sea stars have a bizarre and fascinating way of eating. They can push their stomachs outside their bodies to digest their prey. When a sea star encounters something too big to fit in its mouth, like a clam or mussel, it wraps its stomach around the prey, releasing digestive enzymes to break down the food. Once the meal is digested, the sea star pulls its stomach back inside, along with the nutrients. This unique method makes them some of the most unconventional predators in the ocean. Talk about dining al fresco. Who would have thought that King Louis XIV ruled for 72 years? Louis XIV, also known as the Sun King, holds the record for the longest reign in the history of monarchy. He ruled France for 72 years and 110 days, from 1643 to 1715. This incredible reign surpasses all other monarchs in history. During his time, France became the cultural heart of Europe, and Louis himself became the symbol of absolute power. Long live the king who ruled longer than any other. How would you react if you learned that it was Tim Berners-Lee who invented the World Wide Web? What if you found out that Tim Berners-Lee, a British scientist, was the one who created it? This is not just a change in technology. It's a revolution that radically transformed how we communicate and access information. In 1989, while working at CERN, Berners-Lee proposed a hypertext system that would link information through documents. This became the foundation for the World Wide Web, and since then the internet has evolved, providing access to millions of websites and changing society. In the UK, there are many other scientists, such as Charles Darwin, Stephen Hawking, and Isaac Newton, whose discoveries and research laid the groundwork for modern sciences and technologies. Octopuses are the interior designers of the ocean you never knew about. Octopuses aren't just smart, they are also the artists of the underwater world. These fascinating creatures love collecting shiny shells, stones, and other treasures to decorate their underwater homes. They create underwater gardens around their dens, meticulously arranging everything. This shows not only their survival skills, but also their sense of artistry. Their homes are not just beautiful, but also designed to protect them from predators and attract the attention of other octopuses. Who would have thought that these sea creatures had such a talent for interior design? Believe it or not, birds can talk. Many species of parrots can mimic human speech, but not because they understand words. They memorize the sounds and rhythms they hear and repeat them with surprising accuracy. Moreover, some parrots can remember and reproduce dozens of phrases and even sing tunes. This ability has made them popular as pets, as they can mimic entire sentences from their owners, adding funny and sometimes unexpected elements to conversations. Did you know that the world's smallest mammal weighs less than a penny? The bumblebee bat holds the record as the world's smallest mammal, weighing less than a penny. Native to Southeast Asia, these tiny bats live in caves and hunt for insects with remarkable efficiency. Despite their small size, just about 2 grams, they are perfectly adapted to their environment. The bumblebee bat demonstrates that nature's diversity includes even the tiniest of creatures, each playing an important role in the grand tapestry of life. Did you know that in the US, there are banknotes with denominations up to $100,000? These bills were designed for internal transfers between large financial institutions and were never used in everyday transactions. Primarily, they were intended to facilitate operations between Federal Reserve banks. Such notes are rare, and although they are no longer issued, they remain an important part of the history of the American financial system and serve as an interesting example of unique solutions in banking practice. What do cats purr for, really? We often think cats only purr when they're happy. but they actually use purring as a self-healing mechanism. The sound frequency of about 25 Hz helps cats speed up bone and tissue healing. It's a biological feature that not only relaxes them, but also promotes health. So, when your cat purrs, it's not just showing contentment, it's also caring for its well-being. Your chances of winning the lottery? Dangerously low. How likely do you think it is to win the lottery? Believe it or not, the chances of dying on your way to buy a lottery ticket are higher than hitting the jackpot. Statistically, your odds of winning the lottery are so low that you're more likely to suffer from an unfortunate accident. This doesn't mean you shouldn't play, but perhaps it's worth remembering that true luck is just getting home safe and sound. So if you decide to try your luck, be cautious. Sometimes the road to your dream can be more dangerous than you think. Why sloths are so slow? A metabolic mystery. Sloths are so slow that even their digestion can take weeks. They can take up to 30 days to digest a single leaf. This slow metabolism helps them survive in environments where food is scarce. Sloths live in the treetops of tropical forests, moving so slowly that algae grow on their fur, camouflaging them into their surroundings. This disguise helps protect them from predators like eagles and jaguars. Thanks to their laziness, they use very little energy, making them true masters of energy conservation in nature. Did you know the world's oldest recipe is for beer? The oldest known beer recipe dates back to around 4,000 years before our era in ancient Sumeria. This ancient beer shows how long the tradition of brewing has been preserved. Sumerians brewed beer from barley, and this process was a key part of their culture for millennia. Who would have thought that the tradition of beer is so ancient and still thriving today? Is it true that time flows differently in space? Yes, and it's due to Einstein's theory of relativity. The faster you move or the closer you are to an object with a strong gravitational field, the slower time passes for you relative to the rest of the universe. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station literally age more slowly because they're moving at high speeds. This phenomenon is called gravitational time dilation. Is it true that most dust is dead skin? Imagine that every day you shed millions of skin cells that turn into dust in your home. Dead skin cells make up a significant portion of household dust, along with clothing fibers, hair, and pollen. On average, a person loses about 200 million skin cells every hour. Of course, this doesn't sound very pleasant, but nature has designed your skin to constantly renew itself. In fact, one of the oils on your skin, squalene, helps reduce the harmful effects of ozone in the air, making your skin's microbiome a true protector of your environment. So the next time you're wiping down dust, remember, you're essentially cleaning away your yesterday's cells that have already served their purpose. Amazing how the body continually renews itself and maintains balance with the environment. What if I told you that bees can recognize human faces? Bees are not just hardworking hive workers. They're also skilled at recognizing faces. Yes, they can remember and recognize human faces, especially those they interact with often. This amazing ability helps bees navigate and even remember familiar people, making their complex social interactions smoother. It's incredible, but these little insects have cognitive skills that are often underestimated. Who would have thought that such tiny creatures could be so perceptive?